have a rest
Well, you
now.
made it.
I made it. Yeah.
You made it.
I made it.
And we're calling you Sam.
Yes. And
You're an experiencer, and you're also a post. Previously interviewed on AMMACH.
on AMMACH, yeah, with Joanne.
And you want to basically refer people to that interview rather than repeat yourself here.
Yeah. But it's on the AMMACH. It'll be on the AMMACH website,
Yeah.
which is still up, so people can go back to that interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wonderful.
Yeah. Now, I have wrote a few things down, but
I'm just putting a bit of joviality into this because
right.
it's all a bit stressful. This is.
Well, that's what life's about, full of ups and downs.
Now you come the whole way.
Yeah.
From Manchester.
Yes.
Down here into the depths of the crop circle country here in Devizes.
Yeah.
And it's raining outside.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I tried to bring the sun from Manchester because it was
well, I've
gorgeous.
never known it to rain in Manchester, that's for sure.
Well, I was very surprised actually, because normally it can be a bit drizzly, a bit like today here, but down there it was clear blue skies and.
Okay, well, we're not here to talk about the weather, Sam.
No.
We're here to talk about alien abduction.
Yeah.
Targeting.
Yeah.
And implants,
black magic.
But you noticed
dark magic, should I say?
So continue. It's your show.
Right. Well, I'm going to start. Give a brief family genealogy. Basically, my mother's half African and half Irish. And my father is West Indian. Very light-skinned, so that's why I think it's some of the Scottish ancestries in there as well. Now when we left, we were brought up the first part of our lives in.
Where did you leave from?
Macclesfield.
Okay.
Because originally we were in a home in Macclesfield, my sister and myself. That's my blood sister. I have 2 sisters.
Okay. Now, when you said you were in a home, what do you mean by that?
Well, we were put in a home by my mother, and we were only babies. Beautiful place in the countryside. In Macclesfield, absolutely stunning, in the middle of the countryside, beautiful house. All I remember is I have fond memories of that place because it was absolutely stunning. Left at 3.5, me and my sister, and then went to live with my father, who remarried my stepmother. I shouldn't say remarried because he wasn't married to my real mother in the beginning, but he married my stepmother, who was German or Austrian, and we realised we had another sister, a half sister, so different mother, same father. All went to live together. All had our different idiosyncrasies. My other sister was very psychic. I was very psychic and sensitive, but very shy and insular. A lot of insecurity, I think, from everything that was going on.
Can you sort of mention what was going on? What's sort of been everything going on?
Well, going to live with my stepmother, who's Austrian, we were aware that wasn't our real mother, but we were told.
How did this Austrian contact come in?
Well, married my dad
Okay.
in Austria.
Right.
Came to take us out of the home, and then we all went to live as a family together. What else can I tell you about the genealogy? We were all very different as kids, all of us. I was very shy, sensitive, hardly spoke, very quiet, insular, sensitive. My other sister was more outgoing, gregarious, and my other sister was very talkative. That's all I remember about her, because that's all she did was talk. She was lovely. She's lovely. But we were trying to adjust to get to know each other, because she came from a completely different background. And she was very psychic and gifted as well. But I was the dreamer. I was the one that always had dreams, and I had a lot of dreams about past lives that I'd been with. I've got a very close bond with one of my sisters. We look like twins, actually, and we're very, very much alike as well. We talk alike. People get us confused with one another. But I was the introvert, she was the extrovert.
Yeah.
So we were kind of, we balanced each other out quite well with that. As I say, I had a lot of dreams, so I was almost on the edge of reality all the time, because I couldn't tell what was. Sometimes it was hard to distinguish what was more real than what wasn't. And I had a lot of dreams with my sister in it. That
What kind of dreams?
We were always battling, it seemed, but a bit like Robin Hood characters, but helping to save the peasants. So that's exactly how it felt like, a Robin Hood scenario where we were helping to save the peasants. There was someone else in the dream as well, who I know to this day, but I was mute.
Yeah.
I had my tongue cut out for some reason. We're talking about 15th century or something like that. Maybe that's why I was so quiet as a child. I mean, it just made sense.
What do you mean you had your tongue cut out? In the past? What was
Yeah,
it?
in this dream, this past life dream.
Yeah.
I had no tongue. You've got the Irish charm.
Yeah.
I'm saying that because my auntie was lived next door. She was Irish, and she's always laughing and joking. So yeah, and didn't meet my grandparents because we didn't get to know our mother till we were 21 years old.
Yeah.
So obviously they'd passed away by then, which was a shame really, because I would have loved to meet them. My granddad came out of Liberia, but his father before him was Egyptian. So it goes right back to Egypt really. Funny enough, I never had any dreams about Egypt. My dreams were about I was blonde, I was blue-eyed, and I was very telepathic, and me and my sister were like spiritual warriors, so we communicated telepathically with one another, because I couldn't speak.
Spiritual warriors.
Well, I felt we were defending the poor in this particular past life dream. We were saving them, trying to hide them away from the soldiers. That didn't end very well.
Soldiers?
Yeah, they had the typical helmet with the nose piece here.
What
Arrows.
What type of enemy or soldier?
I don't know. I suppose you'd call them the modern day army for the king, or
Yeah.
and they were trying to get these peasants, so we were trying to hide them. I think there may be a connection to Nottingham, the forest up there. I just got that kind of idea around it. But yeah. So moving on from that was one of them. There was another one where I was a slave, 6'3" or 4", very tall, working on a plantation, male, very strong, worked in the plantation, and all I thought about was running away, and I had that dream constantly. All my instinct was to get away from that place. I was in a hut, kept in a hut with a bucket in the corner, so that's all you had, and there was 3 other slaves sharing the hut, just a wooden hut. But you worked all day and came in and you absolutely worked your guts out and then came back there. It wasn't exactly the place. No home comforts.
Yeah.
Wooden benches to sleep on at night, you know. And all I thought about was leaving, getting away, and my constant yearning was just to be free, you know, from this bondage. I'm moving on now. I'm going to jump ahead because I did speak a little bit about this on Joanna's, but I didn't go into as much detail as I have here, which I wanted to, because I believe a few people made comments like, well, I wanted to know about that life.
Okay, well, do you want to explore that? I mean, this connection
well,
with the Germans, the Austrians, the Egyptians,
no,
there's a lot of a good mix there.
Yeah, but it was the life where I was blonde and blue-eyed that they seemed to want to know a bit more about.
Okay.
So I can only say that what I've said, that's what I remember of that, you know. I never got to finish it when I was talking to Joanne about it.
So are you happy that you finished?
Yeah, because somebody put on, you know, did ask about, I would have liked to know a bit more about that. I'm going to jump forward now to school. Went to a secondary school. I'm leaving the primaries out because there's not much happened there. Secondary school, was at an all-girls school. Because I was very shy and sensitive, I liked writing, and I'm going to jump back again when I was 5 years old and I walked out of Catholic school because it was so bad.
You walked out of it?
Yeah, I was 5 or 6 maybe.
That takes a lot of guts for a shy little girl that can't really communicate and keep quiet.
Well, I knew what I wanted. I didn't want to be there. Yeah, because I used to have some. We couldn't agree at that school. The teachers wanted us to. This was at the Catholic school.
Yeah.
The teachers wanted us to. Nuns, may I say, not teachers, nuns. They ran the school. They wanted me to go to church. I had to be there a certain time for not mass, but we used to. Not confirmation because I didn't get confirmed, but I did not like the church. I thought it was boring.
Yeah.
But what I loved doing was going, and nobody was in the church, and they were swinging the censers. You know the censers they have with the incense.
Oh right, yeah.
Because though they did swing them round and walk round the church, and that's the time I used to go in the afternoon, and I would say to the sister, well, I've been to church. And she'd say, no, you haven't. You weren't there on Wednesday. And I'd say, yes, I was. But I didn't go when everybody else went. I went when you know, you should be, if you're communicating with God, you don't have to be with a whole group there. I got caned for that.
My God.
Got caned for a few things. But Anyway, the secondary school was an all-girls school, and I liked the school, but I didn't quite feel like I fitted in. And I think other girls, you say you're a bit odd, you're a bit, they used to say you're a bit mad, and I say, well, but at the same time, we did like each other, but it was just different. Now, I remember a few things from that school that happened that made me really think about things. And I was about 12, and we were made to read 1984 when I was about 12, 13. And I did not want to read the book. I read part of it, and then I didn't want to read anymore. I got in trouble for that because they kept saying, why don't you want to read the book? And I said, I'm not reading that. I don't, it's almost as if I knew there was some truth in it, and I didn't want to read it anymore. Same with Alice in Wonderland.
Now that's interesting.
I didn't like the going down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
There was something very mysterious about it, and it didn't feel right. It's funny because one of the people you interviewed, Joanna Hart, said something about a white rabbit.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that triggered it back again because...
Why would you know about that? What reason would that be?
My dad, we had a white rabbit. Lovely rabbit with red eyes, and my dad cooked it for Sunday dinner, and we had to...
Now the thing about that is, when did that happen in your life?
I think we were about 11, 12.
But this was your rabbit?
It was all of our rabbits.
Yeah. You loved the rabbit?
Yeah.
What did
I don't know if the Alison...
family... What did the other family feel about that?
None of us. We just all burst into tears. None of us were happy with it.
But
we
did
wouldn't,
you know
we didn't...
that he cooked it?
Yes. He told us. We're having
was
this...
that as you sat down or afterwards?
No, he... in the process of killing the rabbit, he told us that was what we were going to eat, basically.
And how long had you been acquainted with this rabbit?
About 3 years, 3-4 years.
That's a long time for children to be acquainted with a pet, to be only told it's...
Well, we had other pets as well. We did have other rabbits, but they were given away, and some of them ran off, and but this particular white one was our favourite because it was big and fluffy, and it had red eyes. It's a beautiful looking rabbit. But I don't want to go too deeply into that because there was something about that Alice in Wonderland, the book that we were made to read. There's certain stages you were made to read books. It was part of the... I didn't want to read it. We read it, but I wasn't happy with it. I didn't like it at all. In our school, we had a picture on the wall of the screaming man.
What's
the
that?
Screaming man for people.
Yeah, since my connection with God.
I had the name, and I've forgotten the guy's name that painted it. I think he was Swedish or something.
Fine.
Do you know the
Oh, is this...
The yeah.
Yeah.
The face.
Yeah.
And that always terrified me. I used to walk past it looking and sort of thought, who would paint a picture like that? What was going on in that person's life? And I realised that painter, and I've forgotten his name now, but that painter, people will know because it was called The Screaming Man. That painter, his sister went into a mental hospital. There was something happening, and he was very close to his sister, and obviously he was very sensitive, and he said that represented him when he found out his sister went, and she must have gone over the edge or something.
Right.
And I didn't know that at the time. I've only researched this recently. It's fascinating stuff when you get into these areas. And I thought, well, maybe that had a connection to what was to come.
Right.
And later on, I went into healing. After I left school, I did a few jobs, and then I went to study. I did counselling, crystals,
Now, when you said
healing.
you did counselling, did you get counselling or did you give counselling?
I did a counselling course.
Right.
I didn't finish it because I wasn't happy with the rules and regulations. I didn't fit in that way, you know.
Are you saying with a lot of these things you've got the healing part and all that, but then
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of stuff you've got to fill in and form filling and stuff?
Yeah,
Was
I'm not comfortable with that kind of thing. I feel like
I think an awful lot of people
fine.
aren't comfortable with that, but we still
Yeah.
have to do it.
It's a
part
contract,
of your
isn't
duty,
it? It's
you know.
almost like a contract. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's the way I saw it. I didn't like to be bound, but that could have been tied with that past life as a slave as well, where I do not want to be bound. I wanted my freedom,
Yeah.
you know. There was a man that lived downstairs called David, and I thought, oh, I'll counsel him because, you know, he obviously needs it. And he would hide these bottles of vodka
Yeah.
in the flat, but you could tell there was something else going on. The place was freezing. I used to go in there, and it was absolutely freezing, and I used to think, but it didn't bother me at the time, you know. I didn't really think anything of it until a friend of mine said, Yasmin, you need to get out of there because he's hosting things, and there was all sorts of things
He's
going
doing
on.
what exactly? Hosting?
Things.
And what do you mean by
as-
hosting? Entities? Beings?
Yes,
What?
entities, all sorts.
How did that friend know that was the case?
She was also on the healing course with me. There was a few of us together. She gave me a few hints and tips about things, you know. She's a bit older than me, so she was like a guide, soulmate. And I learnt a lot from her because she was an earth mother. She was into the earth, the stones, the crystals in a massive way. She could just pick things up all the time. She was into clearing earth energies, you know. She was into the stones. She could read stones. She was fantastic. Still is. So she gave me a few tips about alcoholics.
Okay.
And basically she said that alcoholics, they are open to this kind of thing,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Did cause problems because the thing was, I did bond with him. I got through to him. Music, spiritual music I was into, and I just asked him to listen to them, and he listened to them and he absolutely fell in love with it, and he turned the music right up and he blasted the whole flat out. So, oh my God, what have I done? But yeah, that was it. That was interesting because he became attached because somebody had helped him. It was difficult for me to get away. I had to move in the end. And then there was another friend of mine that I just want to say about this David. He was an absolutely brilliant artist. He brought out books, sketchbooks that he had drawn on since he was 14, and he was drawing super beings flying through the universe. And I said, where did you get this? Who drew this? And he drew it with a pencil, just different shades of pencil, but it looked like a photograph. I said, you're a genius, you are a hidden genius, you should be doing something with that. And he listened, but he didn't really change. It was after I left, and I had to move because I was being threatened by that time. After I left...
Where did the threats come from?
From him. Death threats in the letterbox.
Why?
We had a bit of a fallout over a cat that I'd brought to him to keep him company. I felt sorry for him, and I brought the cat to keep him company. He wasn't looking after it, and the hair was falling off the cat.
Yeah. And
I was worried about the well-being of the cat, and he was drunk all the time. So it was a bit worrying, and I came and collected the cat, and he absolutely flipped. And after that, I had a few death threats through the letterbox.
That's a bit odd. Death threats over a pussycat.
Yeah, but he was an alcoholic, so
but he had the entities, the other things.
Yeah, he had all sorts going.
How was the pussycat?
The pussycat was fine. It came to live with me. I lived
because they
top
can
flat.
detect these things. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was all right, but you could tell it was freaked out because it never sat in the middle of the room. It was always behind the settee, and I said, "Where's the cat?" And it would always be behind the settee, and I'd say, "Well, you're not treating it right. It won't even come out. It's scared."
Yeah.
So I took the cat and I brought it upstairs with me, and I had a bit of a thing getting the cat out as well. But the cat changed. It was a beautiful cat, and it actually put on weight.
Oh, don't hit the mic too much. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. It put on weight, and it just turned into a beautiful cat, and I just had such a bond. I think I'm a cat person because I just bond with cats.
Yeah.
I've never had. We did have a dog when I was a kid, but I like dogs as well. But in flats, it's harder to keep a dog, so I decided to keep a cat instead. And then moving forward again, it was there that another friend of mine, she'd gone to Pakistan, and she had massive things going on.
What do you mean by that?
Well, she'd gone for a holiday with her husband to Pakistan. Her husband was a good-looking guy, must have been about 6 foot tall, and apparently there was rivalry within the family over her husband. A cousin fancied him, and there was jealousy and all that kind of thing going on. And she was attacked, and she came back a completely different person. And I used to babysit her son. Her son was about 3 or 4.
Was this over marriage or things like that, or?
Oh, it just got really horrible. I don't know what happened. She said somebody's put something on us, somebody's done something.
Yeah, I mean a spell or something?
Something like that. But she changed. Her character changed. She became aggressive, crying all the time, wanting to attack him. I heard screaming arguments, and she'd bring her son, say, Sammy, will you take my son and look after him, because I used to have my nieces and nephews. So she said, can you take him, can you look after him? So this carried on for about another year or so. They eventually moved. That's when the other guy moved in, David. And as you know, he had entities. And then during that time, a friend came to me, and she had problems. She said, somebody's doing something to her. She had black magic done. She'd been to loads of different healers. Nobody could help her. She looked absolutely terrible, to be honest. And I felt it was out of my depth. I felt, I can't do this. I've never dealt with anything like this before.
What exactly were you dealing with?
Well, at that time I didn't know. She said somebody put something, they'd done something to her and her family, and she'd been to see, she had a, what she called him a wizard, some sort of wizard.
Right.
He was into healing, and she said he couldn't deal with it. He didn't know what to do. And I said, well, he's more advanced than I am, so how can I deal with it? I'm not, I've only just started up in the healing game. But she kept coming back and coming back. Now, previously I'd given her Reiki, so I think she just thought, well, you do Reiki, you can do it, And I did try to help her, but what I didn't know was what she was dealing with. I had no idea. There was all sorts going on in the house, but it was stuff that I'd never come across before. This went on, and she kept coming back and phoning, and her daughter phoned, and because I thought maybe I could just bypass this one. It seems a bit too much for me. And I was giving her healing, and that's when I felt something suddenly jump in.
To you?
Yeah. And it was like, all I can describe it is like these, I don't know what you call them. It's like a blobby entity, like I just felt it go blah blah blah. Yeah. Into my system, and then another came in, and my legs went, and I said, I've got to get home, because I was actually at that point shaking so much that I needed to get home. I thought I was just going to crash out.
So essentially the two items left her went to you?
No, it's still going on. Whatever was happening with her, there was loads of, there was a lot of stuff. But I don't know how, to this day I don't know what had sparked that off.
So had she been the victim of very severe black magic? She said
it was that, but she wasn't sure who it was. She had an idea it might be who it might be, but I can't see that level. That came from very high up. It wasn't ordinary.
What do you mean by that?
It was too intense. It was very, very intense for her and for me, because I came away from that trying to deal with it, and I couldn't deal with it. And the person, she had actually brought somebody to the house to help me, a healer, and that healer couldn't find anything. This is the thing with the healing. I couldn't understand why nobody was picking it up. They're all saying, "Oh, you're fine," almost like, "Oh, well,
just go
yeah, you're all right. There's nothing wrong." The flat was, the night I was attacked, was on a massive scale.
Now, when did this happen?
When this happened, 98.
Right.
But the thing is, it didn't stop. It just went on and on. It kept happening and happening. And while I was at the flat, I was actually meditating. I was doing a birthing, so into that rebirthing. So I did a workshop on that. So I thought, oh, I'll try that. But while I was actually doing that, something happened. Something came in, and it's all I can say. It was like something that wants to take you over, but take you out and take you over.
In other words, take your entity from your body.
No, take my essence out.
Yeah, essence.
And I couldn't, I was almost crushed by it, because there was something, felt like it was on my chest, but it was pressure was building up to the point where I couldn't breathe. So I was actually lay on the floor at the time, it's just as well, because I couldn't get up. Wow. So I was just breathing like very
so this
shallow.
Was trying to make you basically feel that you were going to die, so your essence would leave naturally.
Well, I don't. I feel like it was trying to take it out of me, you know, because at the same time it felt, I started to actually go into, I don't know, my chest felt like it was caving in. My hands were literally bent over. I thought I was going to be disabled or something, because my hands were in that position. That's all I could see, and I couldn't, and it was forcing my hands further and further back, and I thought, my hands are going to snap off, my wrists are going to break, you know. And just at the point where I thought, I'm not going to make it, just thought, I'm not going to make it. And just when I thought, and I asked for the angels and guides to come in to help, but I could barely do it. There wasn't enough of me left. And eventually something just came, and as if it was lifting it off. And then I was able to breathe, but they were all over the flat. It didn't stop there. They just carried on. It felt like World War III was going on in the flat. I could hear cracks, you know. I thought, it's like World War III, these beings that have come in. And
did you get any identification as to what they were?
I saw one of them. Looked like a witch, long hair, very long nails that bent over, the nails bent over, because I woke up.
Like the classic vampire.
Yeah, I mean.
I'm talking about the old vampire, the original black and white movies.
Yeah, it was a bit like that, but it was a woman. And there was other stuff.
So this is what Max Spears and James Caswell refers to as some kind of vampire virus that took over these other ETs.
Right.
Were they trying to possess you, or do you constitute a problem to them in some way?
Well, I think it was. I was heavily into my healing at that time, and counselling and everything, and I think because I felt like I'd opened up a lot.
Yeah.
And I must have been like.
In what way have you opened up?
A light had. I was actually doing these exercises where I was bringing in the light to my body.
Is this a violet flame?
No, this was one I'd kind of taught myself. It wasn't part of the healing course. It was something that I'd picked up to do, and I was actually bringing in the light into my body and holding it here and channeling it through my feet and taking it down to Mother Earth. There are channelings like that, but people don't normally hold it in their body.
Yeah.
I was actually holding it and bringing it in. All I could feel is a very warm flame going through my body, coming out my feet, going straight into the earth, you know. That's where I used to channel it, into the earth. and I'd always feel it. I'd know when it was strongest, because one time I think I asked too much and it knocked me out. It actually, the energies were so powerful, as if to say, well, you've asked for it now, so we'll give it you. So I actually fell backwards into the bookcase, but I was so busy laughing. I was like, oh, okay, okay, I won't ask for it at that level again. But my teacher, the teacher that was teaching Reiki and the crystals at the time, I walked into the shop and she said, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? So I said, what? I've just been doing my meditation. She said, what meditation? So I told her what I'd been doing. She said, be careful, because you can actually, people have burnt their insides.
Wow.
People have actually burnt their insides doing that, because they're bringing very high energies.
Right.
And it's like your electrical circuits can literally. So I said, well, I'll slow down on it. Well, I did after that, but I was a bit addicted to it, I must admit. And she said, you are, she said, you're literally beaming like an open, you know. And then I thought, well, maybe that's what attracted it, because I was too open. I hadn't closed down.
Yeah.
I was walking around like this, airy-fairy, you know. Maybe it was the fact that I hadn't grounded myself enough or closed down. I don't know. That could be something to do with it. But I went to see a clairvoyant. This is really strange, because I'd gone to see a clairvoyant, and we're going back 10-15 years before this event, and she said to me, she looked at me and she held her heart like that, and she was an older woman, so I was a bit worried, because I thought she's going to have, you know, I'm having a reading and she's going to go on. And anyway, I kind of said, well, what's the matter? And she said, I just got a very severe pain that shot into me from, she said, something, or be careful, because something is not watching you, but it's like, she said, just be very careful, because she said, I don't know if you're going to make it. She said, it's that severe that I picked up. I don't know if you're going to make it. So I had forgotten about that, because that was years before. So I thought, oh, okay. So I kind of pushed it to the back of my mind. But when that event happened, I knew that's what she was talking about, because she was actually, it's as if she was picking up that psychic thing. And she said that the severity of it is enormous.
So what way is
it's life
severe? I mean,
life-threatening.
What sort of energies are we talking about here?
Well, there was going back again. There was in the past. I had a dream. I was always having dreams. I'd pick things up, and I was in a room in this flat. I remember that. It was a bedsit. Somebody said a man had died in there, and I was just reading about portals and things like that, because I was into the healing, and I was trying to learn from other healers.
What do you call a portal?
Well, an entry point for these beings to get in.
It's
now,
just,
usually,
it's just that with things like this, one person's portals and another person's gate or whatever.
Yeah.
So exactly what do you mean by this?
Well, there's certain energy portals that are attracted to negative energy that's in the building, in the ground, and they have entry points.
Other dimensional entities can come into
can
that?
come in and out.
Now, is this based on
they
the
must
energy grid or what?
I don't know if it's based on an energy grid, but the room I was in, because it was a bed sit, the room I was in was, I had the most terrifying dreams in that room.
What dreams of?
Dreams of being taken over, and one being, and I'm sorry, it was either reptilian or very close to that, because it had horns and it had the most frightening face.
Can you describe that? Now, you have, or you will be giving me some diagrams or some artwork or some kind, is that right?
No, that's I haven't drawn anything of
Okay.
that. I just remember when it came in, I was terrified, and the thing is, I thought it was somebody else coming into the room, and it wasn't. It was this being. Now I don't know if it had come through the portal and was attacking me that way, or it was.
Can you describe this? Can you describe this being a little bit better? What are we?
It looked reptilian, but I didn't know about reptilians then.
Right.
So I thought it was.
Have you drawn that in any way to sort of give an indication?
I've never drawn it.
Could you
no.
draw it? Could you? Is there something you could indicate which it looks like? If you can't actually draw it.
I'm not a very good drawer, but if somebody could draw it, maybe I could give them the.
Yeah. I mean, would you be able to do that, to get an artist to draw something for you?
I don't know anybody who could do it at the moment. I mean, I've moved a long time from the other flat. If David, if anybody, he could probably do it because he knew about things like that.
Right.
But I'm not in touch with him anymore, and I'd rather stay away with.
Well, perhaps maybe if you can just see if there's some kind of images that exist out there on the internet, which would assist people in understanding what you're dealing with.
Well,
but we're
it was
in the
it
last
was
10 minutes of this first hour.
Right.
So, do you want to sort of summarise what sort of things are going on here?
Is it supposed
Last
to be
10 minutes, that's fine. Okay.
in the shot? Basically, the pictures I saw of the reptilians, that's pretty much what it looked like. Reptilian, but with horns. It had these horns came up, and that's not the end of it, because what happened in the dream is, I'm just going to finish this off in the last 10 minutes. What happened was there was a ritual going on in the dream, and all these people, but there's people I knew, that were my friends. They were dancing round a fire, and they were chanting, "We're going to get your soul." And I was absolutely, in the dream, I was absolutely terrified. And I said, "No, you're not." And they said, "Yes, we're going to get your soul." And then they started this fire as if they were preparing for me to, be the sacrifice. And they were just all dancing around it. But the girl that had the problems with the black magic, she was in the dream, along with another friend of mine.
What role did that other girl play?
Well, she was dancing around the fire, singing, "We're going to get your soul." And then at the very last, I was fighting and tossing and turning, and the very last moment, the being with the horns jumped in and came almost in my face and said, "Yes, we're going to..."
Are we talking sort of a satanic being?
Well, I don't know how you would classify it, but yes, I'd classify it that way.
And I mean, why do you think you've got mixed up in all this? And I mean, you've come the whole way down from Manchester to describe something in this last couple of minutes. What, in essence, is your message in terms of what you've been saying for the last hour?
Basically, maybe people who identify with it. I'm living proof that you can get through this. I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not.
Okay, this is very important that you've been able to survive what amounts to ritual, satanic, cult abuse of some kind.
But it was more than that. But if we want to go into that in the second half, because I was kind of picking these things up on the way. I didn't know there was so much more to it.
Now, how long ago are we talking about here?
90. That's about 98, 99. Between 98 and 99. Because I hadn't moved back into my flat properly.
Okay.
Talking about the dream now, the dream happened when I was 21.
Right.
That's why I didn't remember it. And that woman had told me a few years later to beware. And I didn't really know what she was talking about. But she said, this is life-threatening to you. It's on that scale, and you might not be able to survive it because it's too powerful, it's too big. You might not be able to make it. During that time, the message I got was endurance. Endurance is the key, because these beings have a way of trying to take over. But if you endure, and I always prayed. I was always like that from a child.
Pray to who or what?
Well, I believe in God. Call it what you will, divine creator, God. I always felt a connection, so I prayed as much as I could to this being called divine creator or God. I think.
Why do you think you were under so much attack? Why do you think you were being singled out so much?
I wish I knew the full answer to that, but when I was doing the healing course, my tutor said to me, she said, you're going to attract a lot of jealousy. Basically, that's what she said.
Why exactly?
I don't know. She never explained it to me, and I'd only just started the course, so I didn't understand why.
She must have recognised something in you then.
Well, I think she did, but I think maybe it was her jealousy as well, partly. I think it was.
Are you able to say where you got your training course, your healing course?
I'd rather not.
Okay, but
the
was
person.
Was this an accredited course?
It was an accredited course.
Because it's important that we did make that distinction.
Yes, it was definitely an accredited course, but the thing, I didn't really want to do it with this person at that time, because it didn't feel.
In the last, very briefly, why?
It didn't feel right.
What, in retrospect, in these closing minutes, what did you sense that wasn't right?
I felt it was being done for the wrong reasons.
What wrong reasons?
Material, money. I felt it. Yeah,
Speak up.
I felt it. I felt it was being done for money, and that was the wrong reason for me to do healing courses. I felt like if you're going to do it out of passion, the love for the healing, not for money. And that's
okay. Well, that's the. We'll close up on part 1 there. Well, that's fine.
That looks
no,
better. It won't come out like that on the.
No, you'll
oh,
be fine.
Right.
So we'll take a break.
Yeah.
And we'll change quickly, and we'll get on with your second
Yeah.
and go into detail. Can you give people very quickly what you expect to say in part 2?
Well, part 2. No, part 2. I'll be covering just my awakening.
Okay.
And my some of my dealings with the hospitals.
Okay. Well, basis witness, and also an AMMACH witness with the Joanne Summerscales about a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That's it for now, and we'll join you again in part 2.
Okay.